This isn't going to be your typical financial advice. We're not talking about stock tips or some new budgeting hack. Today, we're going to pull back the curtain on the invisible architecture of your life, the financial game you've been playing, maybe without even knowing the rules.
Just let that sink in for a second. We step into a life that's already in motion, right? A current that was set long before we ever showed up. We just learned to swim in the water we're given. But what if that current is pulling us somewhere we never actually intended to go?
So it all starts by recognizing that most of us, we're operating from an invisible script. It's a set of rules and expectations that were handed to us, and we just accepted them without ever really questioning them.
This loop, it probably feels pretty familiar, doesn't it? Somewhere along the way, this routine stops being a means to an end, and it becomes the end itself. The method becomes our whole identity. The philosopher Jiddu Krishnamurti called this unconscious repetition, and it's the real source of that feeling. The one where time feels like it's moving faster and faster, but your progress feels slower and slower.
The Stoic Emperor Marcus Aurelius knew that our entire life is shaped by the stories we tell ourselves. And most of our modern stories, about mortgages and careers and retirement, they're just thoughts we've inherited, not truths we've actually stopped to examine for ourselves.
So look, if you feel a sense of confusion or dissatisfaction, it's not a personal failure. It's actually a sign that you're waking up. It's what happens when the map you were given just doesn't match the territory you're walking through anymore. And that's the very first step to drawing your own.
To change the game, you first have to be able to see the code. You've got to uncover the core beliefs, the software, really, that's running your entire financial life on autopilot.
This is the central question, isn't it? The path of, if I just work hard enough, I'll be successful, feels right. It feels noble. But what if it was never actually designed for your benefit? What if it was designed for a system that needs you to be predictable and obedient and, a reliable consumer? Let's be honest. Your ideas about money, they aren't really yours. They're a kind of cultural inheritance. They come from your parents' experiences with recessions or booms, from a school system that prized compliance way more than curiosity, and from a culture that is constantly screaming at you that you are what you own.
School taught you how to be a good employee, not how to be an owner. It prepared you for obedience, not for critical understanding. The real education, the one that actually leads to freedom, begins the moment you start asking questions about all the topics that were deliberately left out of the curriculum.
And once you start questioning, you discover the core mechanic of this whole money game. See, there are two ways to earn an income, but only one, offers a path to real freedom. Most of us are taught to play game one. We trade our time for money. Simple as that. But here's the secret they never tell you in school. You can't earn your way from game one into game two. It's impossible. You have to build your way in by creating or acquiring assets that work for you.
This number right here, this is why working harder in game one always feels like running in place. There is a hard, mathematical ceiling on your potential. You can't clone yourself, you can't stop sleeping, your income is fundamentally capped by time. That exhaustion you feel, it's not from hard work, it's from working hard without any leverage.
So what is leverage, really? Well, it's just using tools to multiply your effort. It means doing something once and getting paid for it over and over and over again. Think about a musician who records a song just one time, but earns royalties for years. That's it. That's how you separate your income from your time.
So just take a moment and honestly ask yourself, is your financial strategy built around selling your hours, or is it built around creating assets? Are you just maintaining your position, or are you actually building something that will eventually set you free?
This brings us to a pretty radical idea. What if the real goal isn't just to pile up more and more stuff, but to actually define what's enough for you? Because redefining the finish line is how you can actually win the game. See, enough isn't a number that society gives you. It's a decision you make for yourself. It's that point where you have what you need to live your authentic life and you find the wisdom to step off that endless treadmill of more. It's a personal point of liberation.
The Stoic philosopher Seneca knew this 2,000 years ago. True poverty isn't about having a lack of possessions. It's a state of perpetual need. It's a craving for more that can literally never be satisfied. True wealth is having few wants.
And this distinction is absolutely critical. Are you acquiring symbols or are you acquiring tools? Symbols are brought to project an image. They almost always depreciate and they demand your time and your money to maintain.
Tools, on the other hand, they serve you. They create value or they give you back your time. Freedom comes from owning more tools and way, way fewer symbols.
And all of this brings us to the final, and honestly the most challenging step, unlearning the script you were handed, so you can finally become the author of your own life.
You know, unlearning is so much harder than learning. It requires you to admit that the map you've been following is flawed. It's a constant practice of examining your beliefs, asking if they really serve you, and then consciously choosing new ones that align with the life you actually want to build.
And you should know, this path, it can feel lonely. When you start living differently, it can make the people around you uncomfortable. Your freedom acts like a mirror to their own conditioning, and that can be really confronting. Choosing an unlearned life is, in many ways, a struggle against the tribe.
So in the end, the ultimate goal isn't just about accumulating wealth. It's about achieving sovereignty over your own mind and your own time. It's about escaping a system that profits from your distraction and your obedience. Once you truly see the rules of the game, you gain the ultimate power, the power to choose a different one. The only question left is, what will you choose?